to Gallery 625 and our current exhibit, the Emerging Artists Show. This show features a huge range of subjects and styles from 9 regional artists who are all at different ages and stages of their artistic careers. Some are students who are exploring and discovering their creative voices. Some have been working for several years on a body of work and are exhibiting on a regular basis. And others are mid-career professionals and recent retirees who are now dedicating themselves full-time to their artistic practice. And now let's meet some of these amazing artists and hear what they have to say about their work.
Hi, my name is Heather Hogan. I'm a Sacramento artist. I am a professor at the Sacramento City College teaching graphic design, and I am the marketing and outreach coordinator for CR2 Center for the Arts and Community, and I do a lot of freelance website design and graphic design. And in between all that and raising 2 kids, I love to make art, and I've been doing it for a long time. I've been working on these pieces over the last few months during quarantine. A lot of the abstract shapes are about kind of the paths we rewalk, and especially being stuck in smaller spaces during quarantine, how we have to kind of find ways to make our own environment more interesting since we're stuck there. So a lot of the kind of shapes with the footprints, and then these circles, I kind of feel like they're how our lives go, where we're meeting other people and we have circles of friends for a minute and then we move on to other circles and have different tribes. So a lot of it's about human connection and community. But I do admit there's also some pictures of some virus cells in my studio. So a lot of it's kind of on a cellular level. And I have a big interest in social psychology. So there's a kind of a lot of that in history and just how humans over time were just always the same. So this is kind of my abstract representation of those kinds of concepts. A lot of these are many different media, all on wood. These are on cabinet doors for my kitchen remodel, which we started kind of right when quarantine started, so that was a little awkward. So I resurfaced it and sanded it and gessoed it and filled the holes and everything, and thought I would do a whole series on cabinet doors until I realized how much work that was. So I started just buying panels. These are both on wood. I prefer to work on wood so I can kind of carve. I have a history. This is one of my prints on fabric. I have a history in printmaking too, which I really love. So I decided, like, why don't I take some of the wood carving tools and try them on the boards? So I like to use thicker boards and kind of dig out stuff. And then this one I use a little molding paste to kind of fill back in. So just to give the surface a little more texture. So when you see them, they're highly detailed, and use a lot of paint and ink and markers and different pencils and stuff like that. So that you really, what I want the viewer to do is just kind of get lost and in the piece and maybe see different things all the time, maybe see faces or think of underwater or gardens or seascapes and stuff like that. So it's really, I'm hoping the viewer will relax and be contemplative and meditative while looking at these things.
Sandy Calhoun. I was I'm from the Bay Area, born in Vallejo a while ago. I did not have art in my background. I did not have an artsy background. I actually didn't study art at all until college. I think I had a painting class in high school. In college, I was a design major, but realized I didn't like people telling me what to make. But I believe I'm an emerging artist still because I'm still trying to find a voice. I still experiment. These are actually pieces that form like 2 types of art I do. I do a real narrative type of art. And for me, they're stories about me. It's actually all about me. I look at my neuroses and I look at all the things. I'm an incessant people watcher and eavesdropper. So COVID was hard for me because I couldn't watch people and I couldn't listen in on their conversations. So I didn't make very much art last year, but they're all about just things that I find going on with my life that I try to make more universal for everyone. And then I also love to play with a more fantasy type idea, like a what if, like what if your teenage daughter had horns, or pulling on that imagery from the Hindu gods and goddesses that we also don't know how powerful we are, and we're waiting. The rabbit piece is more of a what if piece, sort of like, let's make a lion figure. Well, what if that lion figure was actually partly a bunny? What if that lion figure was from the 60s and was pregnant and then had like a man's face? What if? And so that's sort of like the creative process. That's just this wild, crazy, mixed up, jumbled thing. And then you get these pieces and people always say, well, how did you think about that idea? I don't know. I honestly have to say, I don't know where they come from. They just spring up out of the ground for me. I don't sketch anything. I just work blind. I start with an image in my head. I use photos, pictures as reference points. I'm usually my model for my face. And I just start creating from the bottom up with a general sense of what I'm going for. I think everyone, and as an artist, and I think everyone should make art because it's very freeing for your spirit. And you can communicate in ways that words won't.
Hi, my name is Natalie Nelson. I'm an artist here in the Emerging+Artists exhibit, and I'm excited to be showing 4 pieces that I did this past year. And so I'm standing in front of basically 3 drawings and 1 sculpture I did. But I wanted to focus a little bit more specifically on a piece that kind of started the whole thing, which is a charcoal drawing of a dress for my family. And I just simply call it Flower Girl Dress. And the original dress, which I got from actually my mother's side of the family, we believe is basically from the 1930s or 40s. It's meant for a child, but we had no history on it other than it was from my mom's family. And the original dress is pink and it's satin and it's very beautiful, probably for about a 7 or 8-year-old little girl. And I started thinking about these dresses in terms of my family and creativity, and that a lot of these dresses are handmade by members of my family. And my mother in particular was amazing at sewing, and she sewed a lot of the dresses that we wore as little kids and then as teenagers. So it was a sign of her love and affection and her creativity. And I really responded to that as an artist and felt like these dresses, although they don't have someone to go with them, they kind of tell a story. And each of the dresses that I show here, as well as the shoes, are kind of reminders of different periods where we save things from our lives. And they could be an important event like a wedding, or they could be this dress actually over here my daughter wore to my dad's 80th birthday. And then the baby shoes behind me aren't from my family, but remind me of a story from my own daughter when she was growing up, and the first pair of little baby booties that I bought for her. It's just very exciting for me to be here because I've only started doing art for people to look at in the past 3 years. And in my normal job, I work at a gallery, and I'm always looking at other people's work and selecting it and making judgments about it. And what's so great is I've only been in 3 shows, and 2 of them have been through YoloArts. So I'm really grateful to them for giving me this opportunity. And I just would invite people to put yourself out there if you're trying art. I've been taking a lot of classes, and I know sharing your work is such a huge part of how we get better. And it's nerve-wracking and scary, and I have a lot more appreciation for what artists do now that I've been on the other side.
Hello, I'm Paul Caceres. I'm the artist of The Empty Space. So my family was born in Mexico. We came over here through the Bracero program. So then ever since I could pick up a pencil or a crayon, I've been drawing ever since I was little and never stopped. Fine detail is what I really like to do because I like to have it where you can really get close and you can really see the details on certain little things like obviously the wrinkles and the lines within your hands or the hairs. For example, right here, I really like that you can even see the sand, just like the shadowing and the simplicities of that, or how it looks like the clouds are simply kind of swaying, moving by. Like on this one right here, this one a little more, the clouds definitely look like they're moving. So I like to have movement within the artwork as well, so it doesn't look like it's just sitting there. Or the way I like to describe it is, personally, me on the outside, I'm not the artist. There's something inside of me that's using me as the vessel to get this out. Because when I do all these things, I don't exactly think of anything or have an actual design or an idea of where it's going. It just completely makes its own life. And then by the time it's already halfway done, the life is already there. And then it's just my job to finish it. I'm currently working on my Facebook that holds all the artwork. It's called The Empty Space by Paul Caceres. And I'm loading more pictures as we speak. And there's details about the music and about the characters, the world. And it's in the world, in the size of something like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. It's a world with characters, race, universes, different languages, different plants, tree. literally everything that we have here, it's in the same scope as that. So it's a big project, but it's all coming together, and it's all going to be posted on Facebook for you guys to see, and with the explanations to tell you what's going on, where exactly is the spot. And then there will be also maps that'll tell you where these pictures are exactly located on the world.
Hi, my name's Paulie Laporte, and I'm honored to be here in the Emerging Artists Show in Woodland. I actually have a family background here in Woodland. My grandparents on my father's side lived here in Woodland, and we as children would come and visit. Ended up going to school at UC Davis. I was a Spanish major and an art major. I sort of snuck in the art classes thinking, well, an artist can't really make any money or have a career. And certainly that was the case. Back then, there were not a lot of women fine artists in the museums or doing art. And fortunately, that's starting to change now. And I am becoming a part of that, which thrills me. And I wish my grandmother was still around so that I could ask her questions about the things that she did, because she was pretty much ahead of her time in the San Francisco art scene. I guess I would be considered an emerging artist because my career was in graphic design and commercial design. I ended up in television and broadcast design. All the time I was still drawing and painting and doing things sort of on a back burner, but always I had that interest. The artwork that you see here today is part of that effort, which is really, I consider an emerging effort for me, because I'm focusing on a still life series of, in this case, it would be like sweets and donuts and cakes and things. And I was sort of wanting to do something that was exciting and indulgent in a time of things that are taken away from you, that you couldn't go here, you couldn't go there. Like I see sweet things, and I've had a lot of positive feedback. People say, oh, they really look delicious. They make me feel good, which is my whole intent, was to give people joy through seeing the kind of artwork I'm doing with still lives, and especially like dots, like just a regular candy item that you would find in your Halloween bag is just thrilling. The bright colors, the sweetness, the candy, the layout that's simple but colorful. That really called to me, and so that's what I started doing, and I'm still doing today. While I was at UC Davis, I was very thrilled and felt very privileged to be able to study under Wayne Thiebaud. And a lot of my art, I think, is influenced by him, and also by my grandmother's art, which you can see at the Crocker Art Museum.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I am 19 years old, and I am a student at Woodland Community College as well as Yale College. I have been creating art for almost 15 years, and the type of art I do is realism. What really fascinates me about doing realism is how it's a different art style, how you could really capture the everyday life details that are not exaggerated and are part of the natural world. I consider myself an emerging artist because right now I'm at the beginning of my art career of showing my artwork to the community, and I'm still discovering who I am as an artist. So this is my artwork titled The Sweet Taste of Honeybee, and I got this inspiration from Google, from an image. And the content of this work is how it shows the stereotype of ideal beauty towards classic woman. And you could see here, the audience could see that the elegant young lady is showing her sweet personality, that even the bees are attracted to her. This other artwork is called Floral Grease. And I also got this image from Google, and one of my friends really wanted me to make something different. And the technique that really caught my attention was the pointillism, the little dots that capture the whole piece as a whole. And it shows the Greek beauty of how they really love the human perfection of the body. I would like to thank the art gallery personnel that works here and the creative director, Janet Purnell, for giving me the opportunity to submit my 4 works of art. And I would also like to thank my family, teachers, and friends for always giving me their full support and inspiring me to never give up and becoming an artist no matter how difficult it may be.
Hello, I'm Patrick Cosgrove. I'm here in California from Michigan, but it's been a very long time. I fell in love with the Northern California landscape about 45 years ago, and have been very happy here ever since. And I try to capture that more than anything else in the images that I make. So I began painting again only relatively recently. I was away from it for a very long time. And so while I might not be of the age of what you would consider an emerging artist, in my life, that's my sense of myself. I feel that I'm emerging into a new life. And it's been really rewarding. I have gotten some wonderful feedback here at YoloArts. I think I'm much more after mood and structure than an impressionist would be. But I think emotionally what I'm trying to express is probably closer to the impressionists who are just going after the sheer beauty of the surface. I think this exemplifies how I work as much as anything. I was literally stuck at a stoplight in Southland Park, Sacramento. I glanced over. I think I was illegally looking at my phone, waiting for the stoplight. And I just looked up the driveway here. It's in the neighborhood I was living in, and I thought, that's interesting, and I clicked. When I taught photography, I kept telling my students, you're not always going to think of shape and line and color and form consciously. But if you keep doing this, eventually you'll get a point where you'll see something and you just go, ooh, click. And that's what happened to me here. I looked over and I went, that's interesting. Click, the light turned green and I left. There's also something that I admire in what you might call a sort of classic realist like Edward Hopper. And again, it's mood, a kind of loneliness and isolation. This spoke to me as a photograph, and I thought I could, if anything, even increase that feeling.
The Emerging Artist Show can be viewed in person and online through June 1st.